Good day, Binghamton, and welcome to Week 7 of the Cowboys Fan. Yet another big week in the NFL as usual. Dallas coming off a big win against the Packers last Sunday, and we're going to be talking about that along with some other things. I'd like to introduce you to my guest this week. My guest is the lovely Jessica Rappaport. Jessica, say hi.
Hi.
Jessica, with her appearance here on BTV, makes a little BTV history. As you may or may not have known, her older sister Alyssa had a cameo in Blinding Light 2.
Bonnie, do you have any contraceptive foam I could borrow?
And they are now the first pair of sisters ever to appear on BTV, so this is kind of a historical Cowboys Fan this week with Jessica's appearance. Of course, the only other pair of siblings to appear on BTV, that would be myself and my brother. We exploit ourselves routinely down here at the station, but we'd like to welcome Jessica to the show.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, but anyway, let's get a quick wrap-up of Week 6. A record, speaking of records in history, 5 overtime games. That's a new NFL record this week. The Vikings edged out the Oilers in overtime, 23-17 on this Robert Smith touchdown run. And if you're a Viking fan, you remember a couple weeks ago, a similar game ended with Dallas, only it was Emmitt Smith running for the winning touchdown. But the Vikings got a little vindication against a Texas team, if you will. Cardinals and Giants, Jessica's team, you see her right there with the Giants. What do you think about their little win last week?
I was happy they finally won another game, you know, add to the 2-4 record.
Yeah, Jesse Armstead with an interception return for a touchdown in overtime against Arizona. That put the Cardinals away, sent the Cardinals to 1-5. Which makes me happy because I hate Buddy Ryan, but I think I've overstated that already on this show. Also, the Eagles and Redskins went into overtime. Gary Anderson, the former Steeler kicker, ended that game with a field goal. Another game that ended in overtime, the Colts and Dolphins. The Colts, Carrie Blanchard, former Jet, also ended that game with a field goal. And the Colts, believe it or not, are now 2-0 in games in which they're trailing 24-3 on the road against division opponents. Of course, remember that overtime win they had against the Jets a couple weeks ago, but that they put away the Dolphins in overtime. And the other overtime game was Monday night, the Chargers and the Chiefs. Tamrick Vanover going 86 yards on a punt return for a touchdown. And he was a little emotional after that game, but we don't have the footage of that, sorry. But let's talk about this week, shall we, Jessica?
We shall, Dan.
Okay, and as always on the Cowboy Fan, we start with the Cowboys. Dallas going into the defending AFC champion San Diego Chargers this week. And I got to admit to you something, Jessica. I am a little nervous about this game.
Why is that, Dan?
Well, see, San Diego, they had a rough schedule here in the middle of the season. They had to play at Pittsburgh, at Kansas City, and home Dallas. Now, you figure that's a tough schedule, but you figure you got to get one of those wins in. Chargers lost at Pittsburgh and at Kansas City, so you're thinking this is a must-win game for the Chargers. But that's a damn shame because they're playing the Cowboys, and it's really not going to be much. The Cowboys exposed the #1 defense in the NFC last week, the Green Bay Packers. Now they're going to expose the #1 defense in the AFC, and it's really not much of a contest. But speaking of the Cowboys, now I know you're a Giants fan.
Yes.
And
I think Dallas is a good team because you can't say they're not because of their record, and they have won 2 Super Bowls in the 90s so far.
they have?
They
I
have.
didn't know
Did
that.
you not know that?
Jessica updating me. 2 in the 90s,
Yeah,
really?
Dan, step off, you know, talk to the hand.
I will not be talking to no hands on this show, all
You
right?
get a little excited sometimes, though, about these Cowboys. People come up to me and be like, Dan Conti, that crazy Cowboy fan. So you're giving Cowboy fans a bad name by being too excited. You have to, like,
Let me just say one thing,
it.
okay? I love the Cowboys, all right? And I got nothing but love for the Cowboys. And you have to, whether you hate me or not, you have to respect the fact that I stand by my team and that I know everything there is about. You can't find a bigger fan of any other team in any other sport. You can't.
When did you become a Dallas fan? When did
Well,
you
now
first
that
become
you
a Dallas fan?
brought this up, I became a Dallas fan back in 1980. My parents were seducted by the marketing ploy known as America's Team in the late 70s. And as a result, I received lots of merchandise with the Cowboy logo on it. I used to have little Cowboy glow-in-the-dark pajamas, the little star.
Did you have underoos?
I had Batman underoos. I didn't have...
You didn't have, like, Cowboy underoos?
No. But we're straying, Jess. Don't stray me like that.
Sorry.
Dallas is going to beat San Diego this week, and that's just the way it is. Next game, the game's going to be on TNT Thursday night, and this game, you'll probably know the score by the time this airs. Atlanta at St. Louis. Both of these teams are 4-1, and this game makes me happy because either one of these teams, at worst, ends up tied with San Francisco when the week's over. So whoever wins this game, I'm rooting for to knock out the Niners. What do you think about this game, Jess?
I like the 49ers, though. You got to like the 49ers. I'm sorry. You know, next to the Giants.
I didn't ask you about the 49ers. I asked you about this game here, the Falcons and the Rams. You got to love the Rams in St. Louis there. Come on.
I'm a New York fan, you know? Like, besides the Giants.
The Giants play in New York?
Yeah, well,
New Jersey. Gee, no, they don't. They play in New Jersey. How can you root for a team that plays in New Jersey?
I don't know. Call me crazy.
But what do you think about the game? You like the Falcons or Rams? Who you like there?
I really don't have preference over either team. I don't know either team well enough to say, well, I want this one or I want that one. Sorry.
Make me happy, Jess, and pick something for me, will you?
All right. Which one do you like?
I like the Rams.
You like the Rams. And then I don't.
Get out of here.
I'm just kidding with you.
Get out of here. Next game, Seattle at Buffalo. I'm actually impressed with the Bills. They rolled it up to 4-1.
But the Bills, you know, how many years in a row can you go? Get right up there and lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then the next year you make a Snickers commercial in which basically exploits yourselves, explaining to America how bad you guys really are.
That was a pretty stupid commercial.
Really, you didn't like it?
I thought it was funny, but it was like they were dissing on themselves. I mean...
Yeah, you can't diss yourself. But they'll diss the Seahawks big time this week because the Seahawks are horrible, and the Bills are at home. They'll wrap it up to 5-1. But speaking of crappy teams, we mentioned New Jersey just a little while ago. We're going to go now to Crazy Jets fan, who's going to give you his take on the crappier games this week that I just really don't feel like talking about. So here's Crazy Jets fan.
Hey everybody, Crazy Jet fan here. As you can see, 2XLing with me this week. I was vacationing in Tatooine last week and Jawas got him, but I'm working on that, so I should get him back next week. I'm not very excited about football this week. As you probably all know, divisional playoffs went on this week, and the loyal fans out there who saw last week's episode saw the highlight of my sport experience when I went to the first game of the divisional playoffs between the Yankees and Seattle. Dan, if you could bring up that footage there. I'm behind the camera through most of this trip, you know, filming Dan, but if you look closer, you could see me. I turned the camera on myself real quick, and I'm cheering, I'm yelling. So it was one of the happiest moments of my life. But as you all know, the Yanks lost that series, and I've been shedding a few tears, and you know, I'm going to be okay. I don't want you guys to worry, but if I want for all the Yankee fans out there, have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So, you know, as always, Dan wants me to talk about the big football games and stuff. Jets lost again. I just really don't give a crap. But, you know, they didn't get blown out that bad this time, right? But if you're going to get up for something being a Jet fan, playing another expansion team this week, Carolina, and I'm not even feeling confident about it, to tell you the truth, but I mean, Esiason was knocked out, Brister came in, now everyone thinks it's going to be this quarterback controversy. I'm hoping Brister gets knocked out and we get Foley in eventually, but, you know, as always, got to pick the Jets, so we'll say the Jets by 2 touchdowns. The other game I got this week is Washington and Arizona. Washington coming off a tough loss against Philadelphia, and Arizona they're horrible. Buddy Ryan, and I'm going to go with Washington again. They could have easily have a couple more wins in their record. I'm going to go with Washington and close one by a field goal, and that's it for me this week. You know, hopefully I'll lift my spirits up and have 2XL back and, you know, Yankees.
That's Crazy Jets fan, always with the whack opinion on the Jets and other sorry teams. But speaking of a real sorry team, a real disappointing team, we're getting back to Week 7. New England's at Kansas City. you know, a lot of people, I mean, even I thought that New England could challenge for the AFC East. I mean, a playoff spot or something guaranteed, but they are just disgusting on offense. I mean, they rolled up like 10 points the whole year or something. And Drew Bledsoe, not even worth the non-biodegradable styrofoam container that those Big Macs used to come in now. He's just getting worse every week. And at Kansas City, I mean, they're 5-1. They got the best record. They're tied with the best record in the NFL. But what do you think? I say New England is going to beat Kansas City this week. What do you think of that, Jess?
I don't think so. I mean, how can a team with such bad defense,
Because here's
offense?
the thing. I'll tell you what it is. See, Kansas City, even though they're 5-1, okay, they just about every one of those wins they squeaked out. That you know what. So here's what I'm thinking. I mean, here's the logic I'm using. They're at home against a crappy team. You know they're going to let down, especially after the big overtime win on Monday night. New England's going to get it together this week and beat the Chiefs. But you know what? I really don't care because this is the AFC.
I think Kansas City is going to win because right now they're tied with Dallas. So why give up on your defense or your offense? They're just going to play hard because they want to get a better record than Dallas. Like, let's just say, hypothetically.
Why are they worried about a better record than Dallas?
Because, well, if let's say Dallas loses this week, God forbid, you know?
Yeah, God forbid.
God forbid.
Like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And Kansas City wins, you know, they'll have a good record for their division. So they're not going to let up just because they're playing a crappy team.
I admire your attempt to explain best record in the NFL, but the fact is that the Chiefs don't need a better record than the Cowboys. They need a better record than the Oakland Raiders, who are in their division with the same record as the Cowboys. You got to remember.
Who do you want to see if Dallas goes back to the Super Bowl this year? Who would you like to see?
I would like them to play either one of these teams. I personally think Cleveland's going to the Super Bowl, but they're making me look real bad. But I heard this turtleneck makes me look pretty good. I've gotten some compliments on that.
Oh, you're looking pretty good, Dan.
You like the turtleneck?
I like it.
Yeah, I switched to that a couple weeks ago.
you.
Thank you. But anyway, getting back, Kansas City doesn't need a better record than Dallas because
They
the
need to keep
Super
up with
Bowl's
the
at a
record.
neutral site, so home field doesn't come into play.
But they need a good record. Like, why let up, you know?
That's true. Why let up? But the reason, see, you have the good reason, but the reason behind it is not right. They want to get a better record than the Raiders.
Okay.
Okay?
But
Because they're both 5-1, and everybody wants a good record. But 5-1, the Raiders, they got to beat them out because they're a division opponent. The Chiefs get the tiebreaker though, because James Hasty returned an interception for a touchdown in overtime a couple weeks ago, and the Raiders are just kicking themselves because they'd be undefeated if that didn't happen. But I like New England this week in an upset. But let's talk about Jess's team right now, shall we? The Giants.
The Giants.
Dan Reeves said we're going 11-5 this year. And I don't know what kind of blunt he was smoking that day. But they're hosting the Eagles this week. And this used to be a big rivalry back in the late 80s and the early 90s. And the Eagles actually had the Giants' number for a little while there. But I don't see it happening this week. I will take Hampton played well against week. I didn't expect them to play last week. I like them against the Eagles this week. But what about you? Because you're the fan. I'm going to let you talk about your Giants here for a second.
I first started liking the Giants when I was maybe 5 or 6.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's so cute.
So
I used to watch it with my
nice.
dad, and I remember watching when Phil Simms was the quarterback. And after, you know, Phil Simms kind of left, I haven't been paying as much attention to
Really?
football as usual. But I still like the Giants. I'm a big supporter.